Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment, quiet and unassuming, when you realize that the way you treat yourself is not merely a personal matter. It is, in fact, a spiritual one. You may have been taught to give, to serve, to sacrifice, and these are noble, beautiful things. But rarely are you told that one of the deepest acts of service is to honor the life that has been entrusted to you, your own. I invite you, not as a command, but as a quiet remembering. Tend to yourself with presence. Move slowly. Listen. Breathe. Let the peace within guide you. Let the love you offer to others begin at home, in your own heart. Taking care of yourself is often framed as an option, a lifestyle choice, or a matter of personal preference. But what if it's something deeper than that? What if caring for yourself is not simply a suggestion for a more pleasant life, but rather a divine responsibility, a sacred calling embedded in the very purpose of your existence? In many spiritual traditions, and even in the quiet knowing that lives beneath your thoughts, there is the understanding that your life is not your own in the way you might think.
Yes, you make decisions. You plan, act, and choose. But the life itself, this breath, this beating heart, was given to you.
Operating, it flows through you, not from you. You did not invent your consciousness. You did not create the miracle of your body. These were entrusted to you. And in that entrusting, there is an invitation to honor what has been given. You are not here merely to survive or to hustle endlessly until your energy runs out. You are here to be a vessel for presence, for awareness, for love, and for that to happen fully, you must care for the vessel itself. When you neglect your own well-being, when you consistently ignore your body's fatigue, silence your emotional needs, or run from your mental unrest, you are not simply being irresponsible. You are turning away from a divine responsibility. To live in harmony with the gift of life means to tend to it, to nurture it. Just as one would not plant a garden and then forget to water it, you cannot expect your life to bloom while abandoning the soil of your being. Caring for yourself is not an act of selfishness. That idea, so deeply rooted in many minds, is based on a misunderstanding of what self actually is. The true self is not the egoic identity that demands attention or validation. The true self is deeper, quieter, spacious. It is the part of you that is directly connected to the divine. And that self must be supported, not through indulgence, but through reverence. When you rest, when your body calls for it, when you speak with kindness to your own heart, when you feed your body with nourishment and your mind with stillness, you are not pampering yourself. You are aligning with your true nature. You are saying to the divine, I recognize what you have given me, and I will not take it for granted. It is easy to fall into the trap of overextension, of believing that your worth is proven by how much you do for others. But what happens when you give from an empty place? The quality of your giving diminishes. You begin to serve not from love, but from obligation. Your presence becomes fragmented, and the very energy that was meant to be a gift to others becomes diluted by your own depletion. True service to others begins with honoring yourself. There's no separation between the two. When you are rested, centered, and well, you radiate peace. You listen better. You speak with more clarity. Your actions arise from intention, not compulsion. And that presence, your full, undivided presence, is often the greatest gift you can offer. We are often conditioned to believe that sacrifice is the ultimate form of love. And while there are moments where we must give deeply, even when tired, this must not become the pattern of our lives. Constant self-neglect is not noble, it is unsustainable. And the divine does not ask for you to disappear in order to be worthy. It asks for you to be fully here. Being fully here means being embodied. It means feeling your breath, inhabiting your body, noticing your thoughts without being ruled by them. It means knowing when to say yes and when to say no, not from fear, but from inner clarity. And you cannot know what is true for you if you are always rushing, always distracted, always living on the surface of your life. To care for yourself is to slow down enough to notice. To notice the signals your body sends when it is overwhelmed. To notice the emotions rising like waves in your chest. To notice the tension in your shoulders, the tightness in your jaw, the way your breath grows shallow when you are disconnected from the moment. These are not random discomforts. They are messengers. They are your body and your spirit asking you to return, to pause, to listen, to remember what matters. The act of remembering is central to the spiritual path. And one of the most important things you can remember is that your existence matters, not because of what you accomplish, but because of what you are. You are an expression of divine life, and life in all its forms must be tended to. You are not here to live in constant stress. You are not here to be exhausted every day. You are not here to suppress your pain until it turns into illness. You are here to awaken, to feel, to live consciously. And for that to happen, you must build a relationship of care with yourself. This relationship is not about perfection. It is about presence. There will be days when you forget, when you overextend, when you fall into old patterns. But even then, there is a gentle voice beneath the noise, inviting you back. That voice does not judge. It does not rush. It simply waits for your return. Simply waits for your return. And every time you return, every time you choose rest over rush, compassion over criticism, stillness over stimulation, you realign with that voice. You realign with the divine. So understand this. Your life is not a problem to be solved. It is a sacred trust. And you honor that trust not just by what you do in the world, but by how you hold yourself in each moment. Do you move from love or from fear? Do you speak to yourself with tenderness or with judgment? Do you make space for silence, for breath, for being, for being? In the world we live in today, much of what we associate with care for ourselves is physical, eating well, exercising, sleeping enough. These things are important, but they are only one part of the picture. There is another layer, deeper and quieter, often overlooked, the care of the inner life. True self-care begins not on the outside, but in the inner dimension of being. It begins in stillness. Stillness is not just the absence of noise. It is not simply a lack of movement. It is a state of awareness beneath the thinking mind, a place you arrive at when you stop identifying with the endless stream of thoughts, emotions, and demands. It is the presence that remains when all distractions fall away. And it is in this stillness that true nourishment begins. Most people live in a near constant state of mental activity, planning, remembering, worrying, analyzing, judging. This inner noise becomes so familiar that silence feels strange, even uncomfortable. But silence, inner silence, is not emptiness. It is fullness. It is aliveness. It is aliveness. It is where the deepest part of you speaks, not with words, but with presence. To care for yourself truly, you must learn how to return to this stillness. You must become familiar with the space between thoughts, where peace resides, where peace resides. This does not mean you have to live in isolation or abandon your responsibilities. Rather, it means bringing an inner quietness to the life you already live. Washing the dishes with presence, walking slowly, aware of each step, breathing consciously, listening without needing to speak. These small acts are the doorway into the inner sanctuary, where the soul is replenished. Without stillness, you may continue to function, but you will live on the surface of life. You will be driven by reaction, consumed by restlessness, and exhausted not just in your body, but in your being. Imagine a lake, disturbed by wind and rain. The surface ripples and churns, but deep below, the water remains calm. Your mind is like that lake. Life may stir the surface, but beneath the waves, stillness waits. It does not demand anything from you. It is always there, untouched, unmoved, ready to restore you. This inner stillness is not a technique. It is not something you create. It is something you return to. You don't need to add anything to yourself to find it. You need only to subtract. Let go of distraction, of mental chatter, of trying to be someone or somewhere other than who and where you are. In the space that remains, stillness arises. And in stillness, healing begins. Your nervous system calms. Your breath deepens, your thoughts lose their urgency. You begin to feel your own presence, not as an idea, but as a lived reality. You become more aware of your body, not as an object to push or perfect, but as a living field of sensation. Tension softens. The inner critic grows quiet. You remember without words that you are enough, not because of what you do, but because you exist. This remembrance is the nourishment your soul longs for. All the striving, all the seeking, all the chasing, it comes from forgetting this truth. But when you're still, you remember. And in that remembering, your energy returns. Not a frantic, anxious energy, but a steady, quiet vitality that comes from being rooted in what is real. You may think of stillness as something impractical or detached from the challenges of daily life. But in reality, it is what empowers you to meet life more fully. When you are anchored in stillness, you respond instead of react. You see more clearly. You speak more gently. You move with more ease. You are not carried away by every passing emotion or opinion. You are rooted. Stillness does not make life easier in the sense of removing all challenges, but it does change how you move through them. It gives you space, the space to breathe, to choose, to see. In that space, wisdom arises, and wisdom is one of the greatest forms of self-care. When you are disconnected from stillness, even the most nourishing activities, eating well, meditating, exercising, can become just more tasks to perform. But when you are rooted in stillness, these same activities become sacred. You eat slowly, tasting each bite. You move your body not to fix it, but to feel it. You sit in silence not to achieve something, but to simply be. This shift from doing to being is where transformation begins. It is the foundation of a life that is not just productive, but meaningful. Not just busy, but alive. Stillness also connects you to something greater than yourself. In its depths, you begin to sense that your life is not random or accidental. There is an intelligence, a presence that breathes you, that moves through all things. You are not separate from it. You are not separate from it. You are it in form. And when you are quiet enough, you feel that connection. You rest in it. You are held by it. This is why stillness nourishes you more deeply than any external achievement or affirmation. Because in stillness, you remember that you are not alone. That you are not your fear, not your past, not your thoughts. You are presence itself, spacious, aware, alive. To take care of yourself, then, is to make time for this returning. Not as another item on your to-do list, but as the ground from which all doing flows. Even a few moments of presence, of silence, of stillness can begin to change your relationship with yourself. You become more forgiving, more patient, more compassionate. You become a safe space for your own heart. When you feel butterflies or tightness in your gut, your body is giving you feedback about your emotional state, your safety, your environment. All of this is guidance. All of it is sacred. But to receive this guidance, you must create space for it. This means not just physically slowing down, but becoming inwardly quiet enough to notice. It means becoming more interested in how you feel than in what you are achieving. It means being willing to pause before pushing, to ask what you need instead of assuming you already know. This is not weakness. This is not weakness. This is wisdom, and it requires courage because our culture often rewards disconnection. We are praised for pushing through, for ignoring our limits, for being endlessly available. But true strength lies not in constant endurance. It lies in alignment, and alignment comes from listening. To listen to your body is to trust that life speaks through it. This trust grows over time. It grows when you begin to act on what you hear, when you rest when you're tired instead of pushing through, when you eat when you're hungry, not when the clock says you should. When you move in ways that feel good, not ways that are driven by comparison or pressure. When you allow yourself to cry, to breathe, to pause. Not because someone told you to, but because your body asked. This listening creates intimacy, and from intimacy grows self-respect. You begin to realize that you are not separate from your body, and that caring for it is not a chore. It is an act of devotion, an honoring of the life force that flows through you. In this space of respect, your relationship with yourself begins to shift. You stop seeing the body as an obstacle or an object. You begin to see it as a teacher, one that is always offering you insight, not only into your physical state, but into your emotional, mental, and spiritual health. One that, when treated with love, opens into peace, into vitality, into clarity, into clarity. This is not about never experiencing discomfort. Life will bring challenges. The body will age. There may be illness, pain, or limitation. But even in those moments, there can be dignity. There can be gentleness. There can be presence. There can be presence. Presence is what transforms your experience. When you are present with your body, even pain becomes something you can meet with compassion. You stop fighting yourself. You stop trying to fix everything. You simply be with what is And often in that being, something shifts, something softens, healing begins. So listen, not with your mind, but with your attention. Feel the rhythm of your breath. Notice the energy in your hands. Let the sensations in your body be your guide. Ask yourself softly, gently, what do I need right now? And then wait. The answer may not come in words. The answer may not come in words. It may come as an impulse to stretch, to rest, to cry, to smile, to be still. Honor it. When you begin to live this way, not once in a while, but as a way of being, you begin to realize that your body is not a thing to be managed. It is a living, breathing miracle, a temple of divine life. And the more you listen, the more you are led not just toward health, but toward wholeness. And so the invitation is simple. Slow down, but come back, listen. Let your body speak, for it has never stopped speaking. It is only waiting for you to hear. In a world that constantly urges you to do more, to be more, to prove your worth through action and accomplishment, the idea that rest is a sacred practice might seem foreign, even indulgent. But rest is not laziness. It is not a waste of time. It is not something to feel guilty about. Rest is essential. It is a rhythm of life that mirrors the natural order of the universe. Day and night, inhale and exhale, ebb and flow. Without rest, there is no renewal. Without rest, you are not fully alive. You are merely functioning, moving through life with a depleted spirit. You were not created to run endlessly. Even the most powerful forces in nature pause. The ocean recedes before the next wave. Trees shed their leaves in winter before blossoming again. The human body, mind, and spirit follow this same sacred pattern. Rest is not a disruption to your productivity. It is what makes genuine productivity, creativity, and clarity possible. It is in rest that your nervous system resets, your body repairs, and your inner life becomes clear. But rest is more than just physical sleep. It is deeper than a nap or a vacation. Rest includes emotional and spiritual restoration. It is about being still, being quiet, being with yourself without striving or fixing. It is the space where healing happens without effort, where you are not doing, but being. And in that being, something profound takes place. You remember who you are beyond your roles, beyond your obligations, beyond the demands placed upon you. When you live without rest, you begin to lose touch with this deeper self. You become reactive rather than responsive. You become fragmented rather than whole. Your emotions rise to the surface with greater intensity. You may find yourself irritable, anxious, or numb, not because you are broken, but because you are broken, but because you are exhausted. And exhaustion is not just physical, it is spiritual. It comes from disconnection, from being too long away from your own center. Many people are afraid of rest because it means slowing down enough to feel. When you rest, distractions fall away. The noise quiets, and what's left are the sensations and emotions you may have been avoiding. This is why so many fill their schedules, avoid silence, or turn constantly to screens and stimulation. It's not just busyness. It's a way to avoid the self. But that avoidance comes at a cost. You cannot run from yourself and be at peace. True rest requires surrender. Rest requires surrender. It requires trust. Trust that you do not have to earn your worth. Trust that the world will not fall apart if you pause. Trust that life continues to unfold even when you are not pushing it forward. This trust is a spiritual discipline. It is an act of humility.
Yeah.
It says, I am not the center of everything. I can release control. I can allow myself to be held. This holding is not metaphorical. It is real. When you allow yourself to rest deeply, you begin to sense the presence of something larger holding you, life itself, divine energy, the ground of being. It is here that rest becomes not just recovery, but communion. You are restored not only in body, but in soul. You remember that you are not separate. You are not alone. You are part of something eternal, something wise, something whole. To embrace rest is to reclaim your humanity. It is to resist the conditioning that says your value lies only in what you produce. It is to say no to a culture of burnout, and yes to your inherent dignity. It is to make space in your life for reflection, for wonder, for joy, and in doing so, you become more, not less, available to the world. To the world. You give from fullness rather than depletion. You speak from clarity rather than confusion. You act from love rather than pressure. When rest becomes a sacred rhythm, it changes the way you relate to time. You no longer see every hour as something to fill, every moment as something to maximize. You begin to value depth over speed, presence over performance. You may find that you accomplish less by conventional standards, but what you do accomplish is infused with greater meaning and greater presence. Your work, your relationships, your creative expression, all of it becomes more honest, more whole. Rest also strengthens your ability to discern. When you are rested, your mind is clear. You are more able to hear the subtle voice of intuition, the inner knowing that speaks not in urgency, but in calm certainty. This voice becomes your guide, not the voice of fear or anxiety, but the voice of wisdom. It tells you when to move and when to pause. It tells you what is truly necessary and what can be released, and it speaks most clearly in moments of quiet. There is nothing passive about true rest. It is an active turning toward life. It is an active saying yes to your well-being. It is an active commitment to live in alignment with your deeper truth. And because it is so radical in a world of constant striving, it often requires intentional practice. You may need to schedule time to be still. You may need to unplug, to say no, to protect your peace. This is not selfish. This is sacred responsibility. You are not here to burn out for the sake of appearances. You are not here to be admired for your exhaustion. You are here to be fully alive. And aliveness requires rhythm. It requires pause. It requires rest. So listen to the wisdom of your own being. When it asks you to slow down, honor that. When it craves silence, honor that. When it longs for spaciousness, for breath, for simply being, honor that. For in doing so, you are not withdrawing from life. You are aligning with its deeper current. You are remembering that rest is not the opposite of growth. It is what allows growth to happen. And so let your rest be sacred. Let it be intentional. Let it be an act of love. Not just for your body, but for your soul. Not just for your peace, but for your purpose. Because in rest, you are not losing time. You are returning to yourself. You are healing. You are listening. You are reconnecting. You are reconnecting. And from that reconnection, the most meaningful parts of your life will begin to unfold. Ladies and gentlemen, as we bring this journey to a close, let us remember one simple yet profound truth. God wants you to take care of yourself, not out of fear, guilt, or obligation, but from a place of deep reverence for the life you've been given. Your body is not just a vessel. It is a living expression of divine creation. Your mind is not just a tool. It is a gateway to awareness. Your soul is not just a concept. It is the very breath of life moving through you. To care for yourself is to acknowledge the sacred knowledge, the sacredness of your being. It is to return to stillness when the world becomes too loud. It is to listen to the quiet wisdom of your body when your mind cannot find the answers. It is to honor your need for rest, knowing that you are no less worthy when you pause. This is not selfishness. It is alignment. This is not weakness. It is strength. It is through the simple, intentional acts of presence, listening, rest, and self-compassion that you reconnect to the divine current within you. And from that connection, you begin to live not from survival, but from truth. And so, take a deep breath. Feel the weight of your own presence. Remember that you are not here to prove anything. You are here to be whole. You are here to be well. You are here to be well. You are here to be a reflection of the very love and peace you came from. And that begins always with how you treat yourself. Thank you.